Hi, Joan. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's jump right in. Tell us about what Sharetown does and the side hustle opportunity available.
Yeah. So Sharetown picks up big and bulky returns. So let's say you order a mattress or exercise equipment, couch, rug, something that's really big online, and it arrives at your house and you're like, oh, it's the wrong color. Or it doesn't fit quite the way I wanted. Or for whatever reason, it's not the right comfort level for you.
Okay.
And you want to return it. But because you bought it online, it's too big and bulky. You can't just stick it in a package and stick it in the mailbox.
Right.
And also because you bought it online, you can't take it back to the store. You can't just throw it in the back of your minivan and run down to the store. What Sharetown does is pick up those online returns of big and bulky items. And then we resell them in the secondhand market.
So the side hustle opportunity then is with people who want to be those people that are picking it up and reselling it. Is that the idea?
Correct. We have a huge contractor network nationwide. And the opportunity is to be that person to go pick up the item and then you refurbish the item and resell it. And, really there's a few things that you need to be good at to do that. Good customer service, really flexible with your hours because you actually set your hours of when you can pick up and do that. A lot of people are doing nights and weekends. And so it totally depends on what your schedule is.
Maybe walk us through what a typical transaction that a rep would execute. Like how are they notified that there's a pickup and then what happens from there?
Yeah. So we actually have a native Sharetown app that you would download on your phone. And we have someone that trains you and make sure you understand the whole, the first phone call you make. So you would have an app and it would tell you have a pickup and it tells you what the item is, the size, and you're able to look beforehand online at that item. So you have a really good idea of what you're getting yourself into.
Okay.
And then you actually call the customer. You get the customer's information. You call the customer and you say, hey, I'm with Sharetown and I'm calling you to pick up your treadmill. And these are a couple dates and times I have available. What works for you? And then you schedule it and then go and pick up the item.
So are these typically residential customers then?
Yes. Yep. They're all just direct consumer purchases that someone might have bought online. So you're going into someone's home and picking up an item.
Okay. So now I've loaded the treadmill in my pickup truck, probably, possibly SUV.
Yeah.
And then what happens from there?
From there, you take it to your storage facility. That could be your garage or a storage unit or some type of warehousing. You're required to then inspect it, clean it, do whatever it needs to be done to make it resellable.
Okay. Now, is it at this point, has Sharetown accepted that return or the company has accepted that return? So the person picking it up, the rep is going to pick it up regardless of the state it's in, more or less. But they're going to see that from the photos, right?
Correct. So
okay.
When you get there, you can verify it is the item that you're supposed to be picking up, that it's in a working condition. So there is a little bit of an evaluation of the item when you're picking it up to make sure it is what they say it is. That is verified multiple times before the person gets there. So rarely is it a surprise.
Oh, great.
But that is part of it, is that you're double checking, making sure you're picking up the right item. That's pretty essential.
So now I've got the treadmill with me at home or in my storage unit. Where do I go from there?
At that point, it is your responsibility as a Sharetown rep contractor to resell the item. So it's a two-part side hustle. You're actually performing a service and then also selling the item.
Okay.
You're familiar with Marketplace on Facebook or Craigslist, some of those places. That's how we resell the items. So we're not posting it on a website. It's nothing like that. It's basically your inventory. A lot of people call it furniture flipping.
Okay.
So they're flipping furniture instead of house flipping. They're picking up furniture and reselling it, right? So
But when I pick up that treadmill or the mattress, I'm not paying you yet. I'm not paying Sharetown. Is that correct?
Correct. That inventory isn't paid for until the sell actually happens. So once you sell that item, then what we call it is basically you reconcile or you get an invoice from us once that item is sold, and then you pay a portion to Sharetown.
So when I agree to pick it up, then do I see a minimum price that I need to sell it for or a minimum amount that Sharetown wants to get back from it?
Yes, exactly. So at the point that you receive the pickup request, it tells you what your minimum list price is going to be for that item, and then how much you will owe Sharetown when it sells.
Okay. And do I have then, as a rep, the ability to mark it up as I see fit?
Yeah, there is some leniency with it. A lot of our reps actually charge for delivery, so there's a way to make it make a little more money by delivering it to someone. Also for setup, so say it's a treadmill and say, "Hey, it comes in 3 parts. If you'd like me to set it up, I will charge a little extra for that." So not only on top of seeing in your area, you might say, "Oh, it's January 1st and everyone's buying treadmills, and I think I could probably get a little more than my minimum list price that's required by Sharetown. I'm going to tack on a extra amount because of the seasonality of it, or there's no one else selling them in my area, so I know that I have the corner on this market." Yeah, there is some ability to do that. But also at the same time, we encourage people to sell quickly because we can always get them more inventory, and we don't want them to sit on things for long periods of time because actually you lose money the longer you sit on
Sure.
merchandise. And so there is a balance between how much you'd want to mark it up versus how quickly we'd want you to sell it.
Right. And so would there be a deadline date for it to sell? Or that's a little bit more up to the rep?
So we have an average of how quickly things sell,
Okay.
and typically you're looking at, depending on the item, really, but within a month, typically anything and everything will sell. So we monitor it. We try to support you, help you make sure your ads look good. We're both very motivated, both Sharetown and the Sharetown rep motivated to make some money.
Sure.
So, but as far as like a hard deadline, like you have 10 days to sell this, no, we currently don't have it like that.
Okay. It sounds like there's not a need for it anyway, because like I said, you're both motivated to sell the item. What is typically the percentage markup then, if that's set by Sharetown or suggested?
So these are all used items, right? And
Yes.
so on the resale market, typically if you're going to buy something on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, you're hoping to get a really good deal.
Right.
And so we're usually marking things up at about 50% off. That's probably, we start at that and we go down to 75% off. Because that's really who are the people that are there are looking for a good deal, right?
Right.
Not a little 10% off or 25%
Yeah.
off that you might see in the retail store. So since they are all used items, but they're gently used, they're like new because they're on a return policy. It's not like they've had them in their home for years.
Right. These are items that people have essentially they've ordered and the retail store has given them the ability to try it out for a week or a month, whatever the policy is.
Yeah,
And the person says,
exactly.
for whatever reason, I don't want it. And then the Sharetown rep comes and picks it up. Okay. So then you've got an agreement, like you said, those contracts across the United States with those companies. That's your revenue piece. And then you turn around and have the reps pick them up.
Yes.
And then that's where they get it. Okay. So if there was an item that, for example, was, let's just for round numbers, we'll call it a $1,000 treadmill. And so that would be the retail. Then chances are it's going to get listed on Facebook Marketplace for around 500.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Well, treadmill, depending on the item, treadmills are
Okay.
a little bit a nicer item. And so
Yeah.
we probably would list it somewhere between $500-$600 based on how quickly are they selling? What do we think we can get? We monitor all
Time of
that.
year. Yeah.
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 We monitor that all.
Demand.
But yes, for round number,
Yeah.
let's say it's $1,000 treadmill. We would list it on Facebook Marketplace for $500. And then we would split the revenue with the rep once it was sold.
Okay. So if it actually did sell for 500, then how much would the rep get?
The rep would get approximately 40 to 50%. So we pay for all the sales tax on the items. We pay for this umbrella insurance policy. So there's some costs involved, a lot of costs involved for us, but there are some huge benefits for the rep. And so
Sure.
depending on the item and depending on, how quickly they sell it, all of the things,
Yes.
like I said, there's also the opportunity to be like the delivery fee and the setup fee. And so
Yeah.
we want the Sharetown reps to make a good enough amount of money that they're excited about what they're doing. So
For
typically, if you break it down per hour, they're making probably better per hour than most anywhere else they could go, as
Right.
opposed to an Uber or a delivery service or anything like that.
Right. And as we mentioned at the beginning, there's no inventory cost on the rep's end.
Correct. That's one
Which
of
is
the
nice.
one of the biggest advantages is there's very low startup cost. We're not asking you to make a huge investment. There's some items that you need to have in order to do a pickup successfully, maybe some plastic and some tape and some maybe a dolly and some moving blankets, but it's not this huge investment. And there is
Right.
a requirement to be able to pick up heavy items and to have a vehicle that you can transport in. So
Yeah, but at the same time, you're going to save on your gym membership because you won't have to do that because you're going to be lifting and moving all the time and getting paid for it.
yes, that's what I always say. It's like CrossFit work, right? Really.
Yeah. Yeah. Just out of curiosity, once that item is resold, can it be returned?
So typically, no. It's all sales are final, but we have been testing some warranty with all of our exercise equipment. We currently offer warranty on them because we know somebody doesn't want to buy an exercise bike. There's no guarantee that it's going to work. So we do have a warranty on those that we offer. So we have started looking at that, but currently across the board, it's as is. It's like you went and bought it off of Craigslist. That's usually no returns,
Right.
right?
Yes.
But we really encourage our Sharetown reps to do everything in good faith to make sure people have a good customer experience. We're not trying to sell anything that's not in good condition, but you're getting a great discount on the item. And so with that, if you really need to buy something that you need to be able to return, I would always recommend to buy it new because then it's guaranteed to return it. But if you're going to get a real great price on something, then you're going to have to be okay with maybe there to being a slight physical flaw in something where a scratch or a dent here and there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember you just brought back a memory. I was in my 20s and I bought my first refrigerator and it was at a scratch and dent sale and the scratch was on the side. It was against the wall. You'd never seen it, but got a great deal on it. So
Yeah,
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it really sounds like the reps are developing their own brand, their credibility. Do they develop relationships with people or businesses that would be inclined to be buying things like on a regular basis? I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, a motel that would periodically need to buy mattresses.
Yes. So Airbnbs are really big.
Mm.
People that have multiple guest homes or multiple that they're using to rent out. That is very, very common. And that's like you're saying, like building your own brand. Like each of our Sharetown reps, we really try to instill customer service, giving really above and beyond in whatever they're doing so that, interesting enough, when you've been with Sharetown long enough, you start to see about 50% of your sales come from repeat buyers. So for whatever reason, most people have multiple rooms in their home and they need multiple mattresses, or they'll at some point need a couch or a treadmill or a pizza oven or whatever it is we're selling, right? They just create a good relationship with somebody. They trust them. They know that they get quality products and they're excited to see what else is coming. Like, what else do you have? So they buy one thing, they might buy multiple things, and then they refer their friends. So I would say that our Sharetown reps that have been around more than 2 years, typically have about 50% of their sales come from repeat buyers.
Nice. Because I mean, if that person has been, say, in my home and set up the treadmill and I've got a good vibe from them and I see they're selling something else, you've already started to establish that trust.
Yeah. And 80% of our Sharetown reps have college education. They're very much like you and me, right? They come in, they're working professionals, they're doing this as a side hustle. Maybe not your typical service network where they're paid hourly, and because these people are motivated to sell. So they come and they show up and are great representatives of the brands. And the brands love working with us because you imagine having someone have a poor experience and they want to return an item.
Right.
But when they go to return the item, the Sharetown rep that comes in looks like us and is basically like a working professional that takes really good care of them, and they remove the item and everything goes well. Then at that last touch point of the brand, it's actually a good experience. And I think if you're like me at all, how people process returns matters to me. I know that if I can return something to a store, I'm more likely to buy from that store,
Right.
depending on how easy the return is.
Yes.
So
I agree.
the service we offer is actually very key to the brand strength,
Right.
and it trickles down to the secondhand customer as well.
Sure. Well, does a rep have exclusivity in a geographic area? How does that work?
No, so we have no exclusivity, but what's really happening is we have so many brands that want to work with us. We just need more people, right? Because we have plenty of items coming through and we need more Sharetown reps. So there isn't really a need for exclusivity at this point because whoever can come work with us, we have stuff for you to sell, and we have a big enough variety that they're not really competing amongst each other.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, what can someone expect to earn as a Sharetown rep?
We would say our average Sharetown rep makes about $2,000 a month.
Okay.
That's kind of our target, which is a great side hustle. There's not many side hustles that putting 10 to 20 hours a week into and making $2,000.
Yeah. And what are some of your top sellers making?
Interesting is some of our very top sellers are now doing this full time. It's not a side hustle anymore.
Yeah.
They can make 6 figures doing it and do it really well.
Because I
And
guess at that point, if they've scaled it to that too, they probably have people working for them as far as doing the pickups,
yeah,
taking the
that's very
photographs
common.
and that type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We see a lot of people being a couple, husband and wife, where the husband goes and does the pickup and the wife handles all the selling, and become very efficient in that manner because you have the muscle and then you have the sales aspect of it, and it works quite well. But that's not,
Team.
it doesn't have to be that way.
No.
But we have seen that work quite well.
Well, you've touched on some expenses that a rep would occur. Obviously, their vehicle, gas, maybe a storage unit. What are some other expenses that people might not be aware of or maybe surprised by? I was going to ask you about insurance. You mentioned an umbrella policy because they're going into people's homes. They could knock the Ming phase. How does that work?
Yeah. So we do have a minimum requirement of what the vehicle insurance needs to be that they cover.
Okay.
And currently, if there's any damage to the home, we usually split that cost with the Sharetown rep. Typically, knock on wood, we haven't had too many damage claims. A scratch on a floor here or there, or a light that's been hit, broken because of the size of the item, but mostly very affordable things that when you split the cost, it's not killing either of us. And so we do have some reps that have like their own business policy insurance because they're doing so many pickups. It makes them feel more comfortable, and we encourage that. But that isn't very high. Like the cost to do that isn't very high. I would say the major cost is just making sure you have enough insurance on your vehicle. That's probably really important. Depending where you live, it can cost a lot or a little just based on auto insurance.
And your driving record.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
How about as far as the selling the items then, are a lot of the reps using paid ads?
No. What we've noticed that works the best is having really good pictures that you're using and that you respond really quickly and that you're very knowledgeable about the item. Those are all things that we help with. We provide pictures or we show you how to take the correct pictures. We walk you through. We have a sales team that walks you through like, okay, this is the question that they're going to ask you. They're going to want to, why are you selling this item? So, and any of the details of the item. So we really encourage being experts of everything we sell so that you can answer questions quickly. And we know in the secondhand marketplace that sometimes it's impulse buys, right? People are just scrolling. I want that. Other times they're searching and they want it right now. And so speed to answer is extremely important, not just, I'll get to it in a couple days or tomorrow. That really you need to be very responsive because they want to buy that. And if they're not buying it from you, they will buy it from someone else. And so to sell something, there are some sales can be taught. You don't have to come into this job being like, oh, I don't know how to sell or be scared of the sales process. Selling is I think it's very easy, but it's easy in the sense that it is a skill that can be taught. And if you follow the formula, you will be successful.
Excellent. So there's some training there as well. Plus, a lot of it just comes down to treat people how you want to be treated. If you send an inquiry through the platform, through the message, a question about the item, you want to get a response pretty quickly. You want the person to be polite, etc.
Yep,
Right.
absolutely.
If the rep was picking up something like a treadmill, I would imagine it would be, pretty quick process to just buff it up and get the fingerprints off of it. Do you do something differently or special with mattresses?
Yes. With mattresses, with all items that are couches, mattresses, anything that has fill to it and stuff, there's some very strict state regulations depending on the state, but we follow the strictest state regulations nationwide. And there's a process to what we call refurbishing the item. So we have a sanitization process that goes through and a packaging process that goes through. And we record it. We have a whole thing of where we document everything that we touch. So yes, I mean, we have a process that has to be, does it take a long time to do? No, it's quite quick, but everything is very clean and sanitized. And most of the things haven't been into someone else's home to get very dirty because it's just that short return process. But yeah, everything. And I always tell people that are looking like, oh, you sell used mattresses, which can sound funny, but because they're in the home for so short and because we have a sanitization process, I guarantee them they're cleaner than anything they've slept on in any hotel that they've been.
I bet. Yeah. Your bed in a hotel does not get sanitized between guests.
No. We feel very, very strongly about the quality of the product that we're reselling. It's in really great shape. And
nice.
I take great pride in that.
Yeah. And can I assume that the sanitization process for the mattress is pretty inexpensive? Like the rep isn't buying any special equipment for that?
No, they have a special product that they do need to buy, but it's not, it's on Amazon. It's not, we're talking a couple dollars per mattress.
Perfect.
For that.
Yeah.
So no, it's not cost prohibitive in any way, but that's a great question because it is another expense, right? We try to figure out because they do need to buy supplies to wrap the mattress with plastic. And so with each item, there is an amount that goes into it, but it's a small percentage compared to what they'll make on the item.
Yeah. And the longer that they're into it too, the smarter they're going to get as far as where they're going to buy those items and where to find them on sale.
And that's something that we do. We actually have a Facebook group for anyone that's a rep with us, and we share deals. Where can you buy it the cheapest? Who has it on sale? And we're always sharing that information. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, how did the idea for Sharetown first arise in the first place, you being a co-founder?
Yeah. So we had originally started a marketplace to buy, sell, and rent with neighbors. And quickly after that had happened, we had a friend that was at a major mattress company, a bed in the box company. in the marketing department, and he was like, hey, we're having this problem with figuring out how to do the returns. This is back 7-8 years ago when this just first exploded, where you could just have a mattress shipped into your house in this compressed way in a box. And so because we had created this marketplace and we knew how things worked in the secondhand market, we were like, oh, well, I know if we can get this item, we can resell it because we at least know that part of the business.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we said, let's try it. And I actually went and picked up the first mattress. And I was living in Las Vegas at the time. Me and my husband were in Las Vegas. And so I went to go pick up this mattress, and it turned out to be like 145 pounds of Jello. I didn't even know how to move this.
Jeez.
I'd never touched one before. So it was very awkward. And we like drug it across this guy's driveway to get in the back of my like Ford, or no, I was driving like this old Tahoe, like squishing it in the back part of it.
Right.
I took it home. I cleaned it. I washed it. I cleaned it, trying to figure out, and I sold it in one day.
Wow.
I was like, oh, this might work. And so from there, I started calling all my friends and family and said, hey, do you want to pick up used mattresses? I know this sounds weird, but it'll work. Right. So it was just the trust factor that they trusted me enough to try this weird thing. Because of that, solving that problem for this one mattress company. And we've come a long way. Now we have we know how to move it when we're in the house. We have a whole process, right? We have videos. We have all these things. So no one has to suffer like I did.
I owned a self-storage facility for a lot of years, and seeing on camera some people trying to move mattresses, it was pretty hilarious. I mean, there were times that I went out and helped them because it's like, you're going to hurt yourself. Here, let me give you a hand. But yeah, so I can picture what you went through. And personally, I had the same experience trying to move a futon out of my condo. That was pretty hilarious.
You know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
So
but I love the idea that you got your friends and family involved in that market research to say, hey, is this going to work? I think it's going to work, but let's try it out and get that feedback.
Yeah. And so it's just like solving one problem after another, trying to figure it out. And once we solved it for this one mattress brand, other mattress brands came to us because they have the same issue. They didn't want to send it to the junk company to be thrown away because they couldn't figure out how to get it returned. They couldn't ship it back to their warehouse. They didn't know what to do with it. Charities did not want them. Charities want money. They don't want to deal with used mattresses. They don't have the manpower. They don't have the vehicles. They don't know how to sanitize them, all of the things.
Right.
And so we just got into the market right when they were trying to find a solution, and we had that solution. And so now we do it for all major mattress companies, and we do it for one of the world's biggest fitness equipment company, pizza ovens, couches, furniture. So we do it for any big and bulky item at this point. But really it started with the mattresses.
Very nice. And I like your first pickup there.
That entrepreneur thing, like it really is about just solving a problem and expecting it not to go well in the beginning. I think that's part of it, is like knowing that, okay, I got to solve this. I'm going to try it. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, I'll just try something else, and to not give up on that. So we've had to try a lot of things over the years.
But that is such a strong, to me, teaching point, Jorja, as far as looking at that way. It's not like you're trying to avoid problems. It's a matter of just continuing to solve it. So it's like, get used to it. You're going to have problems, but make it a new game. Okay, how's the best way to solve this? How am I going to delight the customer?
Truthfully, that is what I love the most about my job, is the problem solving. I love that every day is different, and every day it's something to solve. And then it's like a rush when you figure it out, when it kind of clicks and you're like, oh, we got it. We finally figured it out. And sometimes it takes not a day or a week or a month. It takes a year. And you're like, okay, now that one problem that we've been working on this long, I think we solved it. I find that very enjoyable.
What's your role now at Sharetown?
I'm the COO of the company, and I get to do a lot of fun things like speak on stage, do podcasts,
Fun.
Kind of speak to the brand, and also speak to our Sharetown reps. So,
which is a perfect fit for your marketing background, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, retail stores here in Canada, and I trust other countries as well, face similar issues. What to do with those bulky returns, such as mattresses. Have you extended your reach beyond the United States?
We haven't yet. We have had interest from our retail partners that have a presence in Canada. So that is kind of like on the whiteboard, like looking into that. Is that a problem that we think we could solve? So yeah, we're interested in it. So I expect it on the horizon.
Would there be competition for you here in Canada with that? Like another company here doing what you're doing or similar?
Not that I'm aware of. And even here in the United States, no one does what we do exactly the way we do it. Our competition right now is mostly like junk companies. They're the ones that are picking up the items.
Right.
There are some companies, the way they solve it is they have a 3PL come and pick up the item and they ship it to a warehouse and they ship it to a distribution center and then they'll resell it. So they have a way to solve it. It's just not as efficient to
Right.
solve it. It's more expensive. So no one does it the way we really do it. So and sometimes that's the hardest part about what we do with getting a brand on board to work with us is because they might have a way to solve it, but we do it so differently than they've done it in the past that it's hard for them to understand how much easier we can make their lives.
Right.
So,
Okay. And for someone wanting to be a Sharetown rep, is there a vetting process?
yes, we have a very, I wouldn't say it's super extensive, but there is an interview that you go through. If you go to sharetown.com and scroll to the bottom, there's a link that says become a Sharetown rep and you fill out an application. And based on your application, you could get an interview for your area based on where you are and the need. We really need people everywhere. Like I said, we have a lot of brands that want to work with us. So we're always looking to recruit new people. But I'll ask things like, can you lift heavy things? This is a big and bulky company. Like you're going to have to be able to have some muscle to pick up some stuff. You're going to need a helper. Usually my husband and son will go do the pickups, right? Like I have a high school son that goes with my husband. It's much easier if you have two people. We require that you have two people. So you need a helper. And then your vehicle, what vehicle do you have? And do you have some sales experience? It is not necessary, but it is helpful. And it's funny though, some of our very best sellers had no sales experience, but they just listened to the training and they execute on what we've been able to tell them. So sales experience isn't necessary, but we do ask what your experience is with sales. But really it's, can you lift things? Do you have a vehicle that you can pick things up? And then just, we like to have people that have good customer, that they would present themselves well to the customer. That's really important to us. We're dealing with very high-end brands and we want to just represent them very well.
Because in the eye of the customer too, the person that you're going to his or her home to pick it up, in their eyes, often you're representing that mattress company, that treadmill company.
Absolutely. They don't see it any differently. They don't know that I mean, even though we present ourselves as a Sharetown and they have a Sharetown shirt and have Sharetown information, they still just associate it with the brand.
Yeah. Yeah. So for you to keep your brands happy, your clients, those reps have to be great. And speaking of which, and you've already touched on this, so maybe you've already answered it, but I was just curious as to what some of the best practices of the top sellers are. Like when you think of the income earners, the top ones, what are they doing maybe a little bit differently?
I think this is going to be true for anybody that's doing any side hustle. Consistency. They're extremely consistent. They just show up day in and day out and do their job. And they always want more inventory. They always have their items posted for sale. They always consistently respond. They're very quick to respond. Whenever we see someone struggling, it's because maybe they're not communicating. It usually has to do with they're lacking that communication. They're being inconsistent. It's almost always that is the issue. Like finding someone or being someone that will be consistent in doing the things that you need to do produces results.
Right.
So you want to sell, and this is something I tell all the reps all the time. everything sells. Nothing in the history of Sharetown has ever not sold. It's just, are you doing the things that you know that takes to get it sold?
Right.
So I think that's just a truism across the board for anybody.
And it sounds like a side hustle that you don't have to wait a lot of time to generate income. If you're needing reps, then there's things there to be picked up.
Yes. Yep.
Well, what's the best way for our listeners to connect with you, Jorja?
To connect with me personally, I am on LinkedIn under Jorja Leavitt or on Instagram, Jorja Lee. My name is spelled JorjaLeavitt. And if you're looking to be a Sharetown rep, go to sharetown.com and slide to the bottom and click Become a Rep because we need them.
I'll be sure to include those links in the show notes.
Thank you.
What's your best tip to inspire others to start or grow their side hustle?
So I've been an entrepreneur since I was in high school. I had my own lawn mowing business. I've done all sorts of things. I've always kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit. But really, I think the biggest blocker for most people that if you can get over can make the biggest difference is not waiting for everything to be perfect. I tell my team a lot, B minus work. Let's just move forward, take action. Don't wait to have your website. Don't wait to have your business cards. Don't think that you have to have the perfect name, the company, the branding. There's so much that can be done. In the meantime, to me, generate some revenue and then take the time to polish things, to do the A+ work. But
Right.
I really think just taking action is the most important thing you can do in any business, in any side hustle.
I couldn't agree more. And I think we all have to remind ourselves of that from time to time. So thank you for that. Well, thank you so much, Jorja, for your insights on Sharetown and reverse logistics and the opportunities that it offers. And of course, for being today's side hustle hero.
Thank you, Joan. I appreciate it.